A little cleanup on a couple of things I've been talking about over the past couple of days, and I'm going to start off with the Bill Gates $95 million stock purchase in Anheuser-Busch. I think that the bottom hasn't quite been reached yet, and, when the shelf space ultimately ends up getting taken up by, beers that are actually selling, the stock will probably go a little bit lower, but it's your money to ultimately spend however you want. At least you're not buying up more vaccine patents. But anyways, Bill Gates' nearly $100 million Bud Light bet is a mistake, ex-Anheuser-Busch executive warns. Yep, it's Anson Fredericks one more time. This is the dude who's like, we need to just go ahead and clean house over there. The only way that they can get through this is if they actually apologize, and he has been on the attack recently. Well, recently is a relative term when it comes to this travesty. He's been at it for months. Despite Bud Light's parent company, Anheuser-Busch's recent struggles, billionaire investor Bill Gates has poured nearly $100 million into the beer maker. Oh, Bill Gates, he's acting just like BlackRock and Vanguard. He's going to go ahead and keep these companies completely woke, and they won't learn anything. They're just going to get billionaire bailouts. And it's like, you really need to stop with this ESG alarmism. Why would a company want to invest in a brand specifically to push an ideology that we can see definitely is not receptive by its audience? Why would they want to continue to push that in order to basically burn their money? It makes no sense in the long term. Well, they just want to go ahead and control society because they're just like all Emperor Palpatines that are up there. They're just evil beings that just want to ruin the world. They're also like the Joker because they just want to see society burn. It's like, that's not how these businesses became successful to begin with. It's smart business decisions. They think woke is good, and in some aspects, when it comes to dealing with seems to be products that are exclusively female, it's a little bit more tolerated and tolerable that's over there. But in the beer industry, not quite working, man. Because these businesses, guess what? They just simply follow the money and realize that 80% of consumer purchases are made by women, and they own how much of the debt? 75% of the debt. Very interesting. Bill Gates is definitely making a mistake. Former Anheuser-Busch executive Ensign Fredericks said earlier this year he already made $900 million investment when he invested into one of Anheuser-Busch's largest rivals, Heineken. Yeah, exactly. He spends a little over 10% with a much larger company as opposed to what Heineken gets with $900 million. And I don't know. Maybe I'm out of the loop when it comes to Heineken's advertising or what they're trying to push. Don't know how many pride parades that they were going out there and sponsoring, but I didn't see any change in what Heineken was doing. But maybe they'll be the Bud Light of 2024. Who knows? He did that earlier this year, and since that investment, Heineken's down about 10%, whereas the broader markets are up 10%. Oh my God! See, guys, it's almost like Bill Gates might not be as smart as the likes of CNN want you to think he is. So if it looked like the advice on investing to software companies, tech companies, I might go to Bill Gates. But if you're looking into the beer industry, he doesn't have a great track record of investing in winners at this point, he added while on Cavuto Coast to Coast on Wednesday. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Trust, which manages the funds, the foundation of the Microsoft co-founder, still run with his ex-wife, purchased 1.7 million shares for Anheuser-Busch last quarter, according to regulatory finding. The transaction was valued at $95 million. Gates' purchases comes amid financial woes for the company after a controversial Bud Light marketing campaign sparked a boycott from some conservatives. Yes, just those stupid conservatives that are out there. Bud Light also drew the ire of big gay activists for not doing more to defend its decision. Exactly. You didn't stand our trans queens hard enough, so now we're just going to actually have to get rid of you from our bars. Really hilarious turn of events, but it was just a conservative boycott. I thought that's what ended up driving the absolute destruction of InBev stock, the parent company of Bud Light. But realistically, we all kind of know that it's just basically Bud Light. But yeah, 55.8 cents per share. Yeah, it used to be in the 70s. I think at the beginning of this year, it was touching 90 or something like that. Like, it's real bad, man. Like, even for the month. This far into this stuff, down just about 2 whole percentage points. Not great. Not great at all. But it doesn't nearly, come to being as bad as what has happened with Disney. Oh my God. Disney stock falls to a near 10-year low. And it's Barron's. And when we were talking about, I forget specifically what it was when it came to Bud Light and their scenario. We've used Barron's a couple of different times, and they said it's actually a good time to start buying Bud Light stock when it continues to fall. Yeah, the smart decision. Like, these guys are just, top tier market analysts. But they're telling you, it's all right, guys. The bottom hasn't fallen out. The Disney situation. Are you having a laugh? They're right now struggling to stay on cable platforms. Okay, like Comcast is still Comcast is forcing them to, complete the transaction to purchase the third of the shares of Hulu that they were supposed to have until the end of the year, and they're like, nah, we'll just make them squirm a little bit, push it up to the end of the month. So yeah, they're down on that one. And then also Charter and their Spectrum cable service decided to yeet Disney and all of its properties. It's a traditional cable and network outlets, ABC and ESPN, take them completely off of their stations, leaving 35 million customers without one of the big four networks, and then also, the preeminent name in sports coverage just not allowed on the platform because, Disney couldn't put pen to paper. I don't know where the ink part came in, and get a deal done. And then also add on the fact that everything that they release in the cinema right now has been a total and complete bomb. But don't worry, guys, things will turn around with the Marvels in November. And yeah, it's just a lackadaisical attendance at both of their major theme parks where they kind of make the most of their money. And you got a recipe for disaster that isn't going to clean up anytime soon. But don't worry, guys, Barron's, and by extrapolation, the Wall Street Journal is telling you that Disney, still a good purchase, by the way, even though it just hit a 9-year, just about 10-year. The stock hasn't been this low since the Marvel deal was fresh. I don't know if the timelines completely line up, but Disney hadn't bought or just bought Lucasfilm at this point in time when the stocks were this low. Holy. Charter Communications down 0.71%, wants Walt Disney down 0.51% to rethink the cable bundle. Disney is perfectly happy with how things are currently. Thank you very much. Really, by slashing the price of Disney Plus to $2 for the foreseeable future. Yeah, interesting. They're just super happy, guys, even though the Disney Plus was supposed to turn a profit by the end of this year. Bob Iger is a very stupid individual. Unstoppable force has met an immovable object, and Disney stock is paying the price. Not much has changed for our stock pick, however, because, yeah, you guys, are going down with the ship? How much money do you guys have sunk in Disney? Don't worry, it's still a good purchase. Disney stock still looks is too beaten up to ignore. The Disney Charter feud is a proxy battle in the industry-wide debate over the future of television. Is it really? Specifically, what the pay TV bundle looks like in the streaming age. Disney wants to maintain the status quo as it should be. ESPN costs around $10 a month for every subscriber who pays for the TV package, including the channel, whether they watch it or not, and often comes bundled with numerous other Disney channels. Advertising revenue on top of that. It is an enviable model, and one whose profits have yet to be replicated in streaming. No. There was a hope for that, because, okay, what they're talking about right here is just go ahead and simplify this, because we're Barons and we need to use big terminology, and we just need to basically say the industry is moving towards an a la carte desired model, as opposed to here's your different stupid bundles. For $60 a month, you can go ahead and pick 6 different channel packages. None of those bundles have everything that you want to watch in them, so you're going to have to go and get the $90 a month one where you can pick 8 different bundles that are on there, even though there are 15 different bundles. And oh yeah, if you want the movie package, that's an additional $15 a month, or if you want the extended sports package, it's another $10 a month. But that's the status quo, and that's why these cable providers, they absolutely hate that, because some other company, they'll just go ahead and they'll have different things bundled up. Still, the same thing will come across where it's like, oh my God, we don't want this anymore. And that's what streaming was hoping to accomplish. They would just go ahead and, hey, for $10 a month, you can watch all the old back catalog of stuff, or a sports streaming service would come out. It's like, okay, you want to watch this sport? You definitely can. You don't have to get it through some convoluted TV package or a cable package anymore. You can just pay us $10, $20 a month for, or I remember I used to subscribe to MLB, I forget what it was called, Extra Innings or something like that. Whatever, you could buy the entire season. It was about $100, and you could have access to every single game that's out there. And because when it comes to watching sports, baseball is the only one that I used to like. So yeah, I would sign up for that. I thought it was a hell of a good deal. I could watch out-of-market Dodgers games. I could check in, see what the Rangers were doing. and they'd give you different audio tracks. So if you didn't want to hear any of those inane babbling announcers that was on there, you could hear the sounds from the park, and that was really cool. I really liked that experience because I just want to watch the game. I don't want to hear somebody go, hello, Mets. I'm a bit of a dry spell right now. 3 hits in the previous week, and let me tell you a story, but I don't care. I really don't care at all. They all have the same puker voice that makes me want to remove my brain from my ear, but it was definitely trending in the right direction. And then every single network decided that we need our own streaming service. NBC has the Peacock. Hilarious name. CBS. Well, they tried with CBS All Access, and that failed. And then they just rebranded to Paramount Plus, and fantastic. That's hemorrhaging money as well. I don't know if Fox did it one or not. Once again, conservatives are just simply Democrats driving in the slow lane. HBO, obviously, or whatever it's called now, Max, and now Disney. Even though the originator of all of this stuff, it was Netflix. Everybody wanted to be on Netflix because guess what? All of these studios, they could license out their properties and continue to make money that way. And Netflix, well, they would, reap the benefits of their subscription service back when it was $10 a month and you had access to everything that was on there. So yeah, it was very self-sustaining until a bunch of people decided to get greedy and thought, we could do the Netflix model, not realizing that, oh God, this is a Jenga tower that simply has one brick left at the bottom, and if you upset the apple cart in this one, everything's going to come crashing down. And because greed and Hollywood are in fact synonymous, that's exactly what ended up happening. And now Disney, given the fact that they have way too many irons in way too many fires, well, they're kind of bearing the brunt when it comes to this. So yeah, the Charter Communications Spectrum cable deal, that's right at the forefront of everybody's mind because it's just such a crazy scenario that they find themselves in. But it's simply just a culmination of terrible decision after terrible decision, especially when it comes to their films. Like, this is retribution for about a decade of dog shit that they've just shoveled out to the customers, and now they've just decided, nah, enough. Everything that they put out this year, what is it, 2 films that ended up turning somewhat of a profit out of the 7 that they've released so far. Good record that you have right there. That's definitely what you want from a healthy business. But that's a culmination of taking your audience for granted. And then going back to the theme park situation, well, they just continue to raise the prices on everything. Lines get longer, and it becomes untenable that you just buy a regular park ticket. Then you have to get the Speedy Pass, or whatever they call it, the speedy lanes, and then those lines end up getting longer, and then it just went from a fun day at the park to you have to micromanage every moment that you're there in order to get on a couple of different rides that you want to. Meanwhile, you're just greeted with a mustache and a dress, and you're supposed to just not think that that's weird. Like with the Bud Light situation and how elongated that backlash was. Now we're starting to see it permeate different aspects of society, and Disney, well, Disney's right there. Or maybe it's just a concerted effort, okay? Maybe this is just an inside job. It's a conspiracy that Bob Iger, the current idiotic CEO who just left, appointed a patsy, had the patsy take the fall in order for him to come back and maybe potentially sell off to Apple. Disney buying Apple. Or I'm sorry, Apple buying Disney. Sounds a little bit weird. But then when you start to look into the background, there you can see Steve Jobs. Prior to that very treatable pancreatic cancer that he just submitted himself to. What a fucking dope. But I think he was the single, or the Jobs estate, whatever it was the single largest individual Disney stock owner. And then he also had a hand in the creation of Pixar. So yeah, there's a lot of connections in the background when it comes to Apple and Disney. So the sell-off, and given the fact that Apple does have its own streaming platform right out there, if they can just go ahead and adopt Disney, especially in the streaming aspect. And there's also been other speculation that Bob Iger is just simply trying to, dice up the different creative vehicles that are under the Disney umbrella and sell them off piecemeal. Well, there could be some legs. Apple might not end up just completely buying out Disney, but they could end up buying out a lot of what makes Disney Disney. Okay, so a bunch of current and former Disney executives reportedly think Bob Iger's endgame is to sell the company to Apple. As questions circulate about what lies in store for Disney's future less than a year after Bob Iger returned as CEO, speculation about a potential Apple acquisition has surfaced yet again. Over a dozen past and current executives told CNBC for a recent behind-the-scenes report on Disney's bumpy CEO's succession that they think Iger's ultimate endgame is to stay on and eventually sell Disney to Apple. Analysts have theorized about a possible Apple acquisition for Disney for years now. No, Apple rarely makes major acquisitions and has never done one at such a scale, but the company's biggest buy to date is 2015's acquisition of Beats for $3 billion, which at this point in time, $3 billion probably just about gets you a lot of the film aspects of Disney. Let's keep it a buck. Whether or not a mega deal with the iPhone maker would get regulatory approval is another question. And it's not like if they go with the strategy I was talking about there by just chopping everything up and just having some of the film aspects go over to Apple in a purchase, that could be just a little bit more reasonable. Like Christ almighty, Amazon bought up MGM and I got passed through totally fine. Neither Disney nor Apple immediately responded to insiders' request for comment ahead of the publication. Iger returned to CEO last November, when they fired Chapek in the middle of the night on a Sunday, ousted his hand-picked successor Bob Chapek, supposedly just for a two-year reset for the company initially. But now he's going to be there for as long as he wants to be. But Disney announced in July that the company would add an additional 2 years to Iger's contract because we just need to go ahead and clean everything up here. I didn't realize how messed up everything was. It's like, dude, you put everything in motion. How didn't you know? Oh, right, you were lying the entire time. Those people, they do that. Giving him more time to shape the future of the company, especially given internal turmoil in the company and current instabilities in the industry with the ongoing writers and SAG-AFTRA strike, which Iger has drawn criticism for calling unrealistic. Yeah, some of their demands are a bit stupid, but again, you take a look at your average rank and file writer or actor, well, the moniker fits. CEO of Disney has already made clear that the door is open to potential sales of non-core Disney assets, including ABC and cable networks like FX and National Geographic, all of which he bought. I'm not too sure about ABC. That might have presaged him, but he definitely did. He also floated the idea of an ESPN spinoff, though he's expressed a preference in bringing on a strategic partner. Enter Apple. Iger himself has a long-standing relationship with Steve Jobs. Did you hear he passed, though? I don't want to break the news too hard. As did Disney with Apple. Following Disney's acquisition of Pixar in 2006, Jobs became Disney's largest shareholder in the wake of the deal and was a member of Disney's board of directors until his death in 2011. Wow, it's been that long. Interesting. Iger joined Apple's board shortly after Jobs' death in 2011 until 2019, when he stepped down over a potential conflict of interest as Apple confirmed its venture into the content business with the launch of Apple TV. See where Disney, or at least some of its non-core assets, could fit in? Makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? In Iger's 2019 book, The Ride of a Lifetime, Lessons Learned, whatever. That's what I call it. The Disney CEO wrote that if Steve Jobs were still alive, the two companies may have combined. So he's been opining about this for a long time, but then again, he's also been opining about himself as being a great executive, but nobody has led to the bigger downfall of a company than Bob Iger. Sans Bud Light. See how all of this stuff just welds together. You get woke together, you go broke together. Sucks to suck, I guess. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.